Alright, so to continue with our series of facts, so-called facts, and rather misunderstandings taken for granted as true, which are not true, here are the following 10 things. The first one is that the sound of the guitar depends on the top. And you know that Antonio Torres, who was a great personality and contributed a lot with the guitar, but we are not saying anything about that's true. Antonio Torres, the inventor of the guitars we know today, of the nylon string guitar, he made a guitar with rock paper, with paper. I will post at the description this picture of that guitar, of the data in Wikipedia, so that you can see what I'm talking about. And therefore Torres wants to emphasize on the top. He said that if the top is great, it doesn't matter the back and sides. But that's one part of the truth, and actually this cannot be used to justify that the back and sides doesn't fulfill any purpose. I will post at the description also of this video another couple of videos of a great researcher, Luthier from United States, Mr. Samoji, and he explained how in physics, because to make guitars you have to be mathematician, know physics, mathematics, and many things. It's not just to be a guitarrero thing. Guitarrero thing is not a luthier. A luthier is like a doctor, right? It's a very erudite person. And that luthier there, you will watch there what he does with the pump air. He's proving how the back has, this one is where the sound bounces. The sound's produced on the top, yes, but it bounces to the back. Inside, therefore, otherwise there will not be difference between Cypress and rosewood, or why Paco did eliminated Cypress if it's the same, if it doesn't matter. So this part of the argument, that's much more true than the Torres one. In fact, all the good things, in my opinion, that happen, and also Paco did agree with that which are happening nowadays with AG and with the evolution of this avant-garde post-Paco de Lucia's period, how the guitar is evolving and improving, all these achievements were obtained through going to the opposite direction of the Torres concepts. This is a very amazing thing, but it's true. Because those who follow only this narrow-minded traditional dogmas, right, which are just a dogma, yes, are not evolving or changing one thing. They're doing the same, of the same, of the same, what they don't even know is the same, because they are so much stepped into it. So, all what means evolution and evolving has been contradicting the views of Mr. Antonio Torres, with all due respect, because I also understand his greatness and why one part of the thing is true. What he wants to say, which is also true, is that the top, and the top means that how these bracings, the fan struts are glued in a particular order. If it has 5, which is the password to glue it from here, it's not pam 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 or just all the like a machine thing. It has a special password, and there are tons and hundreds of these passwords which really constitute the secret and the secret knowledge of Luthiership, because there is the key of the sound is not on the wood, but on the password of the top. But that's one part of the equation, plus how the back works as a pump of air, and the sound bounces there, and it has an effect, therefore, this thing, with this. And this Mr. Samogi, a great authority and researcher, who contradicts totally what Torres is saying there, he proved it. How is that this is true? So it's not just an imagination. But some people say, oh, Torres, wait a second, there is much more beyond that also. That was 100 years ago. But now, hello, we don't live in last century. We are in 2015. So in the era of evolution of so many technologies coming there, cell phones, these satellites, what now? You name it. Therefore, why this evolution cannot come into guitar? Because we have to keep doing what Torres did 200 years ago? No, thank you. We don't want that. And of course, every instrument that presents an innovation and a step forward to the future, it has to contradict this principle. Therefore, the back and side thing, it also does an effect. So this is the topic number 1. And you watch the description in detail because I explained it there, everything. And watch Mr. Samogi's videos because they're fantastic, really. Now, the number 2 is that the sound does not depend on the top, because that's the opposite also. Some people will say, it's only the top what matters, and others will say, sound does not depend on the top. It depends only, give emphasis on the back and sides thing. That's also not true. Here, we have to be careful, because if we disregard the top, and in fact, the very personality of the instrument, just like the DNA code of the guitar, it's like what is its personality or characteristic, unique characteristic, what makes an instrument unique, is precisely this password of the top. So because top, of course, is prominent. When we have to compare what's more important, the top or the back and side, then of course it's the top, in that sense only. But it doesn't mean that this doesn't matter. Torres went to the extreme, and that's great what he did, to make a guitar with a very nice top and made of paper, rock paper here, in the back and sides, and prove that it still sounds great. It's there in a museum, there is a picture, but if we said that the top doesn't matter much, or that's another thing, that some so-called luthiers, which are not really luthiers but just guitar makers, and a guitar maker is not a luthier, because this is like flying airplanes. It's a very difficult thing. It's not just so easy, right? And it has to be very cultural person and very thoughtful, right? And very intelligent and very skilled in mathematics and many in physics also, because this is all about physics as well. So, having said so, we can understand that some luthiers who does not have that knowledge, they will say that, oh, you know what, this thing about the password of gluing this is not true, because this is the way out to escape shame, right? Which means they don't even know that it's supposed to be done with the password. Because of course, what I start gluing, if I start gluing in this side and treble side or the bass side, it will affect the sound, for sure. This is science proven. Right? Now, to understand what's the Barbero password of such year, say 1946 or 48, then you will have to do experiments. First learn to make it just like that, and then you have to make all the combinations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then so forth, just like cracking a password of computer password, or yeah. How many possibilities are there? Tons, hundreds and millions probably. So then, therefore, to try to avoid that, to save face, is not very intelligent. So the sound does depend on the passwords and on the quality of the top and how these braces are glued. That gives the genetic information. Like this is a male guitar, female guitar, or it's a classical guitar, it's a flamenco sound, or it's less deep, more deep, very treble side prominent, or middle, low, great range of harmonics. It has very powerful basses, etc. That's defined on the top. But also the backs and side will fulfill a purpose there, of course. So Torres was also right. That's when you understand things. Both things are true, that the back and sides does influence the sound, and also that the top is very important. But at the same time, both are also not true if we want to see it that way. So this is paradoxical. It's a paradoxical thing, but it's true. Now, the number 4 is that the angle of the head, the angle of the head doesn't matter. This thing, or if the strings are touching here, as I demonstrated, watch out the description of this video. I will post a video of this guideline of detecting flaws in that. If the headstock is too much flat here, does not have an angle, it does affect the pulsation. It feels and sounds different, for sure, totally. And to know what's pulsation, also watch the description, because that's another thing which had to be explained. I explained in detail in one video. So the angle of the head is also very important. It has to have a lot of angle and not little angle or just flat like in classical guitar. It's almost flat. So careful with that, that's also true. That's about the angle. Now the number 5 is that the raw materials of the fretboard and neck does not matter. No, this matters, because if I play a guitar, which I can do this with this one, and it still stays there, and I can move my hands all over, and the guitar stays with this balance, is because of the fact that this plain maple and the birdseye maple or maple fretboard is so much lighter than the dull ebony. Same thing with the cedar neck, to save $2-3, right? Because this is the reason why Stradivarius, greatest luthier of this era, on the tradition of string making instruments. Why did Stradivari used a neck of maple and not the cedar? If cedar is so great, why he didn't use that? So it doesn't make sense. Therefore, the best neck for guitars is not the cedar neck, it's a plain maple neck, just like the Stradivari. And the fretboard, if it's lighter or very gross and dull, like the ebony, when dark sound and dark color is dark in every regard. I also proved that. You have to watch the description, because all these things I already explained in detail. But this is a misunderstanding, that the material of the neck and fretboard doesn't matter on the guitar. No, it does matter, because of the balance that this guitar offered me. And then, of course, this will affect how I play, and therefore will affect the sound, because playability is the main asset. The sound does not come from the guitar, the sound comes from you through the guitar. Therefore, how I can play this, it does affect me if this is very weighty and I have to be supporting the fretboard with this, like in the past, which, by the way, I cannot play anymore. Those obsolete guitars. We are acclimatized to obsolete things. Sometimes, but thanks to God, it may change for good. So the material of the fretboard, and by the way, this is the only guitar again in the world that has this kind of setting of maple fretboard. So it is unique, but of course, right? That's why differentiation is the main asset. That's what I like, and probably you like that as well. So this is the number 5. Now number 6 is that the tradition is infallible. And it's beyond question. We should never question tradition, right? That's not true, also. Why say the traditional guitar is the Cypress guitar with cedar neck, rosewood bridge, and ebony fretboard, and it has to be like this because the tradition says so. No, that's not a very intelligent argument. This so-called tradition is being used to to further and to nurture a lack of desire to innovate, lack of imagination, and lack of desire to produce a better instrument. That's why. Because if the classical guitar has the ebony fretboard and also the flamenco guitar has the ebony fretboard, then what's the difference? If the bridge of the classical guitar and the bridge of the flamenco guitar is the same, then what's the difference? Then really it's the same. Don't you see it? It's just an obvious thing. But in that, you have to see the description in detail because I explained it there. So this maple bridge is totally revolutionary and totally different to any fretboard of the so-called flamenco traditional guitar or the classical. It's different to both, and it beats both in sound and precision. And what to speak of the carbon fiber sound? That's another unique thing of this guitar, which no guitar in the world has. All that we are saying here, this is why these misunderstandings have to be clear, because otherwise you just follow along with that, thinking that the earth is flat, right? And when someone came there and said, you know what, is round, it's not flat, then they burned him because they don't want to know the truth, right? In the name of any dogma, people put down truths, right? And this is one truth about the tradition thing. This tradition thing is most of the time, of course, I also respect tradition, and I will appreciate a guitar from 1920. But hello, we are in 2015. So how does that apply or gives value to me or to you now in the present tradition? That's what you have to question. And of course, you have to put into question the so-called tradition, because otherwise we will never evolve. If Paco did follow what tradition was saying, he would never do music with other instruments, music with cajon, music with flute, with electric bass, and mix it with other styles even. Flamenco music, use it as a tool, mix it with jazz or with jazz players, many things. If he was obeying to traditional standards, he will never be Paco de Lucia, it will not exist, Paco de Lucia, if there was not this questioning the grounds of the effectivity of the value that the tradition, so-called tradition, obsolete, has nothing to offer you, really speaking. So this is the number 6. Then now number 7 is that the Luthier is an authority on guitars. That's also totally wrong. Watch at the description that I will post in the first video, that Luthiers have no grounds, zero authority to define what is good sound or playability. Why? Because they don't play, for this simple reason. It doesn't make sense how they will establish or settle the parameter to say, the criteria to say this is playable and this sounds good. Well, guess what? Sound, the guitar sound does not come from the guitar, it comes from you. So playability is the main asset, and if the guitar, sometimes they say, well, yeah, I remember I said this Madrid to another guy, to another Luthier, long time ago, 25 years ago. But I also was wrong into following this along for many years. That's why I'm saying, this is my experience, take whatever is useful for you. But we did so many mistakes trying guitars, changing it, taking for granted that it was okay to have flaws on guitars, unacceptable flaws in the bridge, etc., and then fix it, you refret it, fix the holes, crazy things. And that's not the way it is. If I get a car and I have to fix everything to be comfortable with it, what's that? That's wrong, and that's the old misconception of having to fix everything from day one on a new guitar. What's that? That was a mistake. We did it, I did it. Therefore, I will advise you to not do it. And that was because of following along with this theory that the Luthiers have any authority. They don't have any authority, zero. And if someone thinks they have authority, I challenge them. Right now, they post at the description, I will post this video in which I say, if you want to say no or deny or contradict or disagree with me, I have no problem, but please send a video of you playing first to see what's your level of achievement in guitar, and then based on that we will rate you, not you rating us. We rate you, how you play, and if you can play what we play at our level, then we believe you can also tell your opinion about if it's playable or not. For the time being, as this has not happened, Luthiers have zero authority to say if a guitar is playable or if it has good sound, because sound doesn't come from other players but from playability, and therefore we are the ones who play, so we are the ones who are supposed to decide if the guitar is playable or not them. So they are no authority at all, and this was a constant fight long time ago, which thanks to God came to an end. thanks to AG, came to an end, because now you can have from day one the guitar perfect in every sense. And when you know what you want, you didn't even need to try anything. When you try some things because you don't know, that's why you want to try it. But when you know what you want, then what's the trying? There's no trying. You go with full conviction that this is playability I want. Right? Of course, these things I learned in many years, but you can save time taking this advice. Another thing, which is a misunderstanding, is that if the bridge has flaws, means uneven distances from the strings, so that if it has flaws, you can see how to detect that. On the first link I will post this guideline to flaw detection. If the bridge is wrong, then it's okay, no problem. That's a very wrong assumption, and I did fall into this mistake, as many of our colleagues also did. And 25 years ago, we would buy a guitar and then have to fix the holes. We get the guitar wrong with the wrong measurements, and then we have to fix it apart, separately with another guy, right? Like, if you get a car and then you have to fix 20 things before you feel good in it. That's not a thing that has to be like that, right? And I learned from Paco that if a bridge has a problem, we cannot even call that a guitar. That's what he said. And I learned this from him, and that's why we were fixing stuff. But imagine just to fill up the walls and then with another drill, again re-drill it with the bridge on. Like, crazy things we did to have a good guitar those times. Came to an end thanks to God that. But this is my experience, and in fact you can save a lot of time by following this advice, because I did the mistake as well a long time ago. So bridge should be perfect, and if the bridge is the most important part of the guitar, how it will be the same? Just because when we went there or point out to a luthier, look that this bridge is wrong, they said, well, that's the way it is, that's the way tradition does it. Everyone plays like that, so why you are complaining? Well, hello, pick a ruler and just see if there is this millimeter and that. Well, I am a big brand name, how you can say that? We don't care. I care of quality and of the value that the instrument offers me. And therefore, if this bridge is defective, it's defective objectively. Pick a ruler, hello. This is a very simple thing, right? And then people take for granted that, well, everybody plays with defective bridge, no problem. No, that's not a very good argument. This is number 8. Number 9 is that we have to follow along with this story. Means, the luthier told me the guitar is okay like this. No, wait a moment. This is unplayable, man. Just see the action. It doesn't tune also. And it has a problem here with the tuning, in a fret or a bad boxing or something. And then, because the luthier says, I think it's good, it's okay. Why you're complaining? Tomatito also plays that and he said it's okay. Or any nonsense they may say like that. So why we have to follow along with that? No, we are the ones who have the authority and the grounds to decide what's playable for us, isn't it? If a luthier doesn't play at my level, how he can say if it's good or not? If it's playable to me, to my standards, he would have to play like me to understand me. Because if I have to play a scale, a fast thing, or traversing all the fretboard in a certain way, if he doesn't know how to do it, how he will know what's easy to play or what's not? It's just a logic thing, but for years and years, this love-hate stayed there, and now it finished this period. But before, that was the only way to relate with them, and because we guitar players, we need the luthiers, and the luthiers also need us to play their guitars. That was a constant tension there, which didn't prove productive until you can do team stuff and team and then get the proper feedback. For a luthier getting the proper feedback, I know only one company that can do that, which is this. The rest are too proud, because the moment you said, I think this is not good, then they immediately feel attacked, or they don't have the humility to accept and say, you know what, you're right, I will try to do this to improve that. That's why at the description also, the second link I will post, is this about this feedback thing, where I tell the story and the honor that my preceptor gave me to appoint me to give feedback for years on this stuff of playability, because I understand what he wants, and he taught me to do it. So this is a very honorable thing. And therefore there you have to be like fire. If something is wrong, and that's it. The Luthier cannot say one word that he thinks is okay. No, it's we who decide if it's good or not. That's the way it is. And if someone doesn't like it, I don't have a problem, and many of my friends don't have a problem, but that's wrong, because the one who plays is you and me. We are the players. We decide what's good and what's not good, not the one who makes it. The one who makes it has to be adapted to what we said, not the other way around. So that's a misconception. And therefore, this is the number 9. And the number 10 is that just because many people do wrong things or accept the so-called big name brands with inherent defects they're inherited generation after generation. If some guitar is a big name but it has flaws, then that doesn't mean it's okay, right? Just like many people go to eat to McDonald's, and according to some, it's not very healthy, right? I don't go, by the way, there. I don't want to eat in McDonald's. But many people go there, millions maybe. And then so what? Does that mean that this is good? Because many do it? Or drinking Coca-Cola. Some others say this is poison, it's very bad, the sugar is bad, this is bad. Just search it and you will find it, you know already. So because many drink Coca-Cola, this means it's good? No. And it's a big brand name. I don't think any guitar brand is as famous as those brands there. So but it depends on you. So this majority consent is also another nonsense. That because many do it, then it has to be good. So what we are? A sheep there to follow majority? So majority of what? You have to see what you need and the value that the instrument offers you. And this only you can know it. I also cannot know it for you. I can advise you my experience and what I consider is better based on that experience only. And in your favor, of course. And you can save a lot of time with it, but ultimately it's only the player who has to decide that. And certainly this names stuff here means 0. It doesn't mean anything. Just like what we were saying, that if we are in the airport and want to fly to other country, I don't need to know the name of the captain and his story, his family story, and how he learned to fly airplanes. No, that's not relevant at all. I just need him to bring me to my destination safe. So therefore, this names story and all this prejudice about that means 0. Because if I pick a ruler and I see a so-called big brand with big flaws, I'm very sorry, I don't want that. That's how this was born, with the desire to get an instrument which is good from day one. And that's why Paco supported it, because it's truthful to that principle of improvement, of high ethics, and of the desire to innovate and to produce an instrument which is as we want, not as the Luthier wants us to have it, because they want to save money on the materials. That's the story, that's the thing. And therefore, this majority consent also doesn't mean one thing. Okay, I hope I clarified these points, and of course at the description you watch that if you want in detail any of these topics, because we did explain these things in detail. And then this series hopefully will prove useful to your cultivation of knowledge, because when you have knowledge, you have freedom to choose. If you are in ignorance, you cannot choose, you are forced to choose the same. Same of two things is not choosing, it's the same. If a guitar of one brand, another, both have flaws. Suppose two guitars doesn't tune, or have the bridge wrong, and I have to choose one of them, what's my choosing thing? It's 0, because I'm just doing the same. With another name, but it's the same flaw. That's how we were before. 30 years ago we did this mistake. But it's better to just acknowledge it and face the reality. Things can improve and are improving, and this improvement is for you. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.
Musica.